host broadcaster of the G20 South Africa 2025.
He learned well from where he comes from.
Welcome back. You're watching SABC News, the host broadcaster of the G20 South Africa 2025. We continue to unpack the leaders' declaration that has now actually been published. I was looking now a couple of minutes ago on the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. It's now on their website, firmly entrenched in terms of charting the way forward for these countries of the G20. So there's no turning back. And I keep going through the document because naturally that's what we're going to do. And the team, Ronesh Dauraj from our team, our research editor, did the work yesterday of getting what the average number of pages is for a declaration. And I think it works out to about 18 pages. They're about 18.2. So there's still a lot for us to unpack, including Mzwai, this whole idea. We touched on Ubuntu featuring as a concept in the document. It's not insignificant. It entrenches and it's an affirmation that this was an African G20. But of course, naturally, they have to take the trouble to loosely translate what Ubuntu means. I am because you are, interconnectedness. And you see that in terms of the issues that it talks about, right? The interconnectedness of individuals, but also of nations.
And that gives character to this G20. We kept on saying this is a G20 in South Africa, which is an African G20, if you like. So then you infuse those values, you infuse those characteristics that define who we are as Ubuntu, as human beings. So that for my existence, your existence is very important, and then that existence of all of us is what carries us forward. So they are trying to actually teach the world as well to say, we recognize that your being is because of our being.
Yeah. In fact, I want to say a bit more about that, Shawan. The significance of it for me is that you're looking at this declaration, it's a document that talks to high-level policy issues and economic issues, but also has the common touch. One of the features around the, oh, whoa, my seat just moved. One of the features when it comes to the just energy transition, where you see the common touch, it talks about cooking solutions. We will work towards facilitating low-cost financing. The next one I want to read is, we welcome the Voluntary Infrastructure Investment Action Plan to accelerate the deployment of clean cooking solutions. You know, you and I know very well where this is relevant in developing nations where many people continue to use cooking solutions that are unhealthy, that are not safe, and the number of people that actually die, that continue to die from use of I don't know, not technologies, but
toxic energies that, you know, if you burn certain fuels to cook a pot on it, you know, that's the air you breathe. I mean, there's even a big conversation about gas stoves that is ongoing. And so, you know, just to sort of interject here, I think it speaks to just how diverse Africa is and just how different the problems are in different parts of Africa, how in certain low-income countries in Africa, in very rural communities, there is a long way to go if you want to talk about cooking solutions and an AI future. That is a bridge that needs to be crossed. I mean, we need to make a connection from that. We need to solve the cooking solution if we are going to be serious about the AI and critical minerals and all the, because, you know, we're here already. We're here already, so we need to bring, we know, in terms of the SDGs in this document, President Ramaphosa talked about, and Ronald Lamola, and all the officials around that have talked about how we have to leave no community, no one behind. That is the essence of what this outcome document is about.
You see why I keep him here. He completed the point very nicely for me.
And he clarified the picture quite.
That's why I keep him here.
This is why we're a good team.
And that comes, that element of then good governance. Because you would have all this, you have this cooking, you have this AI here. You've got to get here. So, but if you mismanage your resources, instead of these resources benefiting everyone, so then they just benefit a few. How are you going to get there? So that is very important. You've got to ensure that you strengthen your governance systems so that they don't just benefit a few, but those governance systems work for all of us. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to live a comfortable life. It can't just be for a few.
Let me paint a picture for you in this context. Right? Have you ever seen an image of a black woman walking with twigs on her head, wrapped with string, and walking? What's that? You know what that wood is for? Yeah. That wood is cooking wood. Yes. You're going to go and put a pot, sometimes in a hut, to cook your food.
Yes.
You have to walk to go and get water at the lake or the river. You're going to go and chop down little branches. You know, after a windy day, maybe it falls on its own. You have to cut it down. I mean, that is the gap. That is the development imposition that is facing the African continent. And yes, you have pockets of excellence, right? I mean, not Africa is not monolithic. Cities are rising. And I mean, you go to Nairobi, it's a different day. But there are very rural communities that are facing really high and steep impediments. And so this is what this document is trying to achieve. The question is, there are different levels of society that also need to move forward. You've got to close the gap from the bottom up, and then you have to ensure that you have this economic growth. Dr. David Masonda was talking about this. The question I asked him yesterday is, how do we ensure that the AI doesn't become existential to our ability to function as a society? And he was saying we have to ensure that we have economic growth to bring people up to a level where they can then, not just focus on food insecurity or poverty, but actually engage in education, improve their skills, because skills is going to be critical to an AI future. And we have to ensure that Africa leads that process, or is in the room. The open AIs and the AIXs and the Elon Musks. Who's our Elon Musk here in South Africa? Where's the African Elon Musk, and what are we doing here? That really is going to matter.
I mean, to his point, I get reminded of so many things that should be fundamental to getting us there. Do we have sufficient political will to get this done? That is my question.
John Curtin, so sorry, Shawan, I can tell you want to take us to the...
I want to just explain what's going on, but go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the conversation we had with John Curtin yesterday, he tracks, he's part of the group that tracks, they call themselves the Auditor General of the G20, and they've been doing this since the founding of the G20. There isn't a single summit, leaders summit or declaration that he has not read. He says the return and follow through on commitments is somewhere, did he say in the range of 71%? I think he said it's in the range of 71%, and that bodes well as we look into the pictures that are coming through from inside that room. The next discussion, Shawan, is a closed session with a fair and just future for all critical minerals, decent work, artificial intelligence is what will be under discussion in that closed session.
And I think I saw a shot there of Gwede Mantashe. I mean, I think that's his portfolio. Mr. Critical Minerals himself is in the room. Look, the document is there. We can read some of the paragraphs, I think, of the section on critical minerals. But again, it speaks to this thread, with this link between critical minerals, how Africa is going to beneficiate the extraction of those minerals, how are they going to ensure that the economic imperatives are met in terms of that extraction, and how is that going to infuse the AI future that we all know is coming and is here and need to be part of. So a very important discussion, although we have the roadmap already, because this adoption has really thrown everything upside down.
It really has.
We thought they're going to debate something, confer on the 20%. Initially we thought they played us.
But how?
They played us.
How of a masterstroke was that? I mean, when we sat there, and remember when the president had just opened, we expected a closed session, but somehow we got a sneak in of what had been agreed upon.
All right, we do need to take a quick break, and we'll continue with our coverage. You're watching SABC News. We are the host broadcaster of G20 South Africa 2025. We're back with more in just a moment.
SABC, host broadcaster of the G20 South Africa 2025.